would like to start off by saying, it's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Good evening, fellow zoologist. The Cabbage Patch Kids, belonging to the genus Homo brassica, that is, related to both the cabbage and big brain monkey families. It was a ludicrous and terrifying toy that somehow captivated the American public in the 1980s. Guten Abend, mein Schatzes. I am your host, Paris Rivers. Tonight, on this episode of Down the Rabbithole, we explore the lore and the history of the uncanny and infantile nightmare that is, or were, the Cabbage Patch Kids.
Dear Grandma and Grandpa, I'm pleased to announce the arrival of Arnold Clyde. That's you.
Adopting a real Cabbage Patch Kid is a joy for the whole family.
Arnold Clyde!
I can't wait to see him.
They're here.
Look, genuine adoption papers and birth certificates.
You'll even get a birthday card.
Here's Arnold Clyde.
Oh, look, your dimple.
Your smile.
Your hair.
Your glasses.
Definitely our great-grandson.
The Cabbage Patch Kids from Coleco.
Before we get into the mainstream and accepted narrative of these Thanatonic dolls, we must spill the tea. Cabbage Patch Kids may be a stolen idea. Not only that, but a man allegedly stole the idea from a woman. Gasp!
I'm shocked.
For those not in the know, Cabbage Patch Kids are baby-like toys with doll bodies and terrifying plastic heads. They are troglodytic in appearance, and just like Furbies, it is a mystery as to how they became such a success. Often overlooked, a small-town Kentucky woman named Martha Nelson Thomas is often recognized as the true progenitor of the dolls. She was an artist and creator from Kentucky who liked to create and make her own dolls. She wanted to make something that had more of a likeness to an actual baby, and wasn't a hard porcelain doll that, you know, creeped people the F out. She ended up going to art school in Louisville and specialized in soft sculpture. Her passion was all about improving doll designs. This allowed her to develop her doll baby, which had softer features and more baby-like proportions than your standard nightmare fuel porcelain dolls. It is said that the humble and painfully shy artist created her doll babies as a way to communicate with others. She shopped for, dressed, and named her baby dolls. Martha gave birth to her dolls. To buy one meant to adopt one and care for the doll like a baby for life. The gimmick, of course, was that the dolls were meant to be real without being real. Each doll came with an envelope labeled important papers, including adoption papers, a letter from Martha, and a letter from the doll, explaining their likes and dislikes. And consequently, she didn't protect the intellectual property of her creations. In the late 1970s, Martha had discovered that Xavier Roberts was, in fact, reselling her baby dolls at a local gift shop. Naughty boy. She demanded that he remove them immediately. Xavier simply started making his own. Martha was a true artist and didn't believe in the mass production of her creations. Xavier, on the other hand, was a true-blooded American, an agent of gunboat capitalism. He was not above copyrighting any idea that was not his own. Xavier signed the bare bottom of each baby he produced to show everyone that it was, in fact, his product. He even bloody nicked her idea for adoption papers. The cheek. Nelson's baby dolls became Xavier's little people. It was a short-lived and rubbish title before we got the slightly more pretentious name, Cabbage Patch Kids. It wouldn't be long before Nelson caught wind of the copycat dolls' success and a lawsuit followed. The case never came to court, and they settled for an undisclosed amount of money in 1985. Martha unfortunately died of ovarian cancer in 2013. The front row at her funeral was occupied by her little people. Robert, for his part, didn't seem too fazed about the sordid nature of his creative process. What a shocker.
Yeah, that's where I got the idea. And we paid her money. And we created this amazing fantasy. And I'm proud of what we did.
Direct quote. I felt it was important to talk about the quote-unquote mother of the toy line. Because, let's face it, she was kinda done dirty. Now, with the caveat of corporate theft out of the way, let's talk about these oddly physiognomic dolls. We will start with the formative years of our morally dubious protagonist, Xavier Roberts. Our doll kleptocrat started working under the mentorship of previously mentioned victim of copyright law, Martha Nelson, back in the early 1970s. In 1976, Xavier Roberts first started manufacturing soft sculpture dolls of his own, and even began marketing them. The stolen idea of adoption combined with his unique sculpting style made the dolls a surprise hit. He couldn't keep up with the custom orders he received. So he recruited his mummy dearest and sisters for help. In 1977, Roberts printed 1,000 blue-bordered birth certificates and name tags, the first edition, the first blue edition. The gimmick was born and repackaged. He teamed up with an old classmate, Debbie Moorhead, and together named each doll using a 1937 baby names book. This was before the days of AI. They traveled all over the country to participate in art shows. The next year, Debbie decided to quit the baby doll business to concentrate on her paintings. Xavier Roberts decided to quit his job to deliver babies, doll babies, full time. The dolls were a success at the art shows. News was traveling and demand for these dolls was increasing. He decided he needed more help if he was going to fulfill these demands, so he recruited 5 old classmates from his art school days to start a business. They renovated an old clinic and turned it into an adoption clinic, the Babyland General Hospital.
Have you ever watched a Cabbage Patch birth? Yeah, you know, like a Cabbage Patch baby. You can actually watch it be born at Babyland General Hospital in Cleveland, Georgia. It's quite the experience, so let's just roll the tape.
Hello, what are we hoping for today, a boy or a girl? A girl, right, let's help her get her wish. Everybody cross your fingers really, really tight. On the count of 1, 2, 3, we're gonna say pink, pink, pink. Stand over to the bunny bees in your ears. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pink, pink, pink.
September 1978, original Appalachian Artworks was incorporated. Appalachian Artworks, y'all, and the second blue edition was introduced. They continued traveling art shows, putting on Cabbage Patch Kids at displays within cribs, in high chairs, and they even had staff dressing up as doctors and nurses. I'm sure this is someone's kink. They were selling these dumb dolls for $100 a piece, which is a lot for a doll in today's money, in case you weren't aware. In less than 2 months, the second edition was gone, and they went on to introduce the third Red or B edition. Our friend Xavier was mastering the art of corporate grift. By August 1979, Babyland General Hospital had 56 doctors and nurses, and still could not keep up with the demand. January 1982 was the introduction of the very first Little People with Ears, New Ears edition, and Little People Pals, which was meant to be a doll for little people. Meanwhile, Xavier was working on a national licensing program called Cabbage Patch Kids. Remember his lawsuit with Martha? He was getting a cease and desist around this time and wanted to change the name to get out of legal hot water. In 1982, Roberts and his friends were unable to keep up with the orders and thus signed a contract with Calico, a toy manufacturer, which could mass produce the dolls, which were now to have vinyl heads. Calico sold the dolls for $35 to $45. By August, Calico became licensed to mass produce, and the Cabbage Patch Kids were born. Were licensed to mass produce the dolls, and the Cabbage Patch mania was about to begin. They planned to introduce Cabbage Patch Kids in summer 1983. Calico mass marketed Cabbage Patch Kids, which was similar to Little People Pals, except their heads were vinyl instead of cloth, but still remembered a soft sculpture face. Just enough difference to keep Martha quiet. They came with their own birth certificates, adoption papers, personality trait card, and a signature of Xavier stamped on the left buttocks cheek, just in case anyone forgot that he owned the dolls in both body and soul now. By the following year, Calico couldn't keep up either. Kids were demanding the doll, causing a buying frenzy at the end of 1983. This is what we call, my darlings, foreshadowing. But before we get to all the fun stuff with rioting in shopping centers and talking about the suffering and mayhem an uncanny doll has caused, we must talk about the Babyland General Hospital. Let's start by saying what it is, an ingenious yet kitsch cash grab that probably shouldn't exist, but does. It opened its doors in August 1979. The Babyland General Hospital was originally manned, as I said before, with 56 retail staff dressed as doctors and nurses. Roberts bought an old clinic, gave it a remix with his buddies, and upped the ante on the whole giving birth gimmick. Oh god, here is their website blurb.
Pack the kids up for a trip to the new Babyland General Hospital, Georgia. Voted one of the Travel Channel's top 10 toylands. Beautifully situated in the North Georgia mountains, this southern-style home filled with Cabbage Patch Kids will capture the imagination of your entire family. Admission is free. Mother Cabbage is always on display beneath the branches of the magic crystal tree. Pollinated by fanciful bunny bees, our magical cabbage patch is tended by our licensed patch doctors and nurses. Babyland General Hospital is the only place in the world where you can witness the birth of a hand-sculpted Cabbage Patch Kid. The self-guided tour allows you to take as much time as you like touring Babyland and playing with our Cabbage Patch Kids. Most guests spend at least 1 hour here. With thousands of Cabbage Patch Kids throughout the hospital, you are sure to find your perfect match. Take the oath of adoption, and your new baby will give you unconditional love.
And here is said brochure with instructions on how to get there. Yeah. And it's free! God, look at those very Aryan-looking children. A little girl looks like she's giving a Roman salute, as it were. Lol. Well, this venture was and still is a success, but, my darlings, you can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs. Xavier looked at the runny shell that remained of Martha Nelson and thought to himself, "This omelette needs more eggs." Enter the Cabbage Patch riots of 1983. Calico could not keep up with the demand for these toys. The quality, uniqueness, and scarcity combined with the fervor surrounding the darned things created the perfect storm that would soon erupt chaos. Stores could not keep up with the demand either. Black Friday, the traditional start of the holiday shopping season, turned into a battlefield as shoppers vied for the limited supply of Cabbage Patch Kids. Stores across the country witnessed unprecedented scenes of aggression and desperation as parents pushed and shoved their way through crowded aisles in a desperate attempt to secure one of these elusive damn dolls. Let us remind ourselves, darlings, that they're the toys. The news and media, of course, added fuel to the fire by reporting on how few dolls there were out there in the world, further increasing demand. The stores that had stocked 200 to 500 dolls max were now getting thousands of customers. When shipments finally arrived, there would be a mad scramble to try and get one. Some stores would only get a dozen or so for hundreds of customers. It was about to get ugly, if it wasn't already ugly. And I'm not talking about the dolls themselves. May I present to court Exhibit A.
Cabbage Patch Dolls. The latest awful example of pre-Christmas selling hype to hit America. The rush to buy them makes our New Year sales look positively calm by comparison. It verges on the hysterical, especially when supplies run out, as they have been.
What do we tell our little girl Christmas morning? What are we supposed to say? You've been good, but Santa ran short?
Those who can't get their own have been known to snatch from others.
Where is he? Do you see her? Is that what Christmas is about?
I agree with you 100%.
A full-grown woman taking a doll out of a child's hand?
This is what it's all about, funny little rag dolls, each with a different face, a birth certificate, and apparently the ability to inspire pure joy.
I got my doll! I got my doll!
Some stores were handing out purchase tickets to help control the crowds. They would be given out to several hundred customers, but with limited supplies, hundreds were leaving empty-handed. Parents were willing to drive hundreds of miles to acquire the doll. People were hungry for the doll. People were desperate. People were feral. People were now trampling, biting, kicking, clawing darlings to try and get one of those coveted dolls. There were stories of people carrying baseball bats to fend off others. This wasn't limited to the customers, as store managers were also arming themselves. Let us remember all this needless violence and pandemonium, darlings, over a freaking doll. At a Zaire department store in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, not Transylvania, a riot broke out, with a store manager grabbing a baseball bat to protect himself. Oof. This is my life that's in danger, William Chico was quoted as saying in the New York Times. 5 women were hospitalized in the incident. Like every other toy fad in history, supply eventually caught up with demand, and the interest decreased. Stores had hundreds of the darn things, but now had far less cannons scrambling for the dolls. An item that people previously were willing to get injured for was now just like any other boring toy. Stores decreased their orders, but the doll remained popular overall in the public imagination. They were still going huge going into 1983 and even 1985, but by this time there was enough dolls in the general pool population that scarcity was gone. By the end of 1985, Xavier and Co. made $600 million, but the popularity would really drop after that. In 1986, they would earn just $250 million. Those poor rich toy barons. Calico couldn't replicate the earlier success, and several of the other toy lines were not doing so well either. Original Appalachian Artworks bought back the rights to the dolls, and Calico was basically screwed. After Calico's bankruptcy, Hasbro licensed and produced toy lines of Cabbage Patch Kids throughout the early 1990s. The dolls shrank down to 14 inches tall. Hasbro bailed on the babies after 5 years, and in 1994 Mattel attempted to remarket the babies and kept them smaller. Fans did not like these new designs, by the way. Then in 2001, Toys R Us took over the rights and started producing the dolls until the rights again switched over to Play Along Toys in 2003. Then Jakks Pacifics would end up acquiring Play Along Toys in 2013. Then in 2015, Wicked Cool Toys acquired the license. Then in 2019, Wicked Cool Toys was acquired by Jazzwares, allegedly now part of Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio via Allegheny, which continues to market Cabbage Patch Kids with periodic anniversary releases and retail exclusives. Continuing the trend, the dolls got smaller. Apparently, these ones, the current ones, come in sizes from 9 inches to 11 inches, but don't quote me on that. For reference, the classic Calico dolls were between 15 and 16 inches. Did we follow all that? There will be a pop quiz at the end of the essay. That's a joke, by the way. Please don't run away from my video essay. By the way, if you have been enjoying this video, please leave a like. If you like the content of my ridiculous, ludicrous channel in general, please consider subscribing. The video just before this, I did a video of the history and lore of the Furby. If you like this one, please feel free to waste 20 minutes watching that one about the history and lore of the Furbies. It's along the same vibe and vein. Now, back to Cabbage Patch Kids, my darlings. To conclude the video, I will discuss some of the molds that have been used on these dolls throughout the years. 1983, the first edition of Calico mass-marketed Cabbage Patch Kids came out. The head molds they used were 1, 2, 3, and 4. In 1985, the third edition came out with the same head molds, but also introduced new head molds 5, 6, 8, and 9. There is no number 7. 1986, the new head molds included 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, and 16. The specialty lines reduced were Astronauts, Circus Kids, All-Stars, and Corn Silks. 1987, head molds number 17 and 18 were introduced. 1988, head molds number 19 and number 20 were introduced, as well as limited availability molds 21, 22H, 23H, and 30. There are no head molds through numbers 24 through 29, as well as 31 through 35. 1989, head molds 36, 44, and 45. There are no head molds 37 through 43. Thank you, Mr. Xavier Roberts. Next episode, I'll be talking about the history of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System from the 1990s. My name is Paris Rivers. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. See you later, Space Cowboy.